Okay, everyone, this is part 2 of my BravoCon news special. And actually, there's going to be a part 3 because there's just way more drama than I can even fit into these episodes. So, for this one, I'm going to be talking about Beverly Hills, Orange County, Southern hospitality, Real Housewives of Atlanta, Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, and maybe even more. I can't even remember. Check the timestamps. And then I'll be back at you with a part 3 where I'll be covering Roni, Miami, some general BravoCon news, Southern Charm, Next Gen NYC. So, yeah, a lot more stuff coming. But enjoy part 2, everyone. Thank you again for your support and for listening. Welcome to the Bravo Papers, a safe space for all us Bravo fans who love to analyze, deconstruct, and talk about our favorite Bravo shows ad nauseum. So join me, Bravo and Botox, and we'll catch up on all the Bravo news and read way too much into our favorite shows and Bravo celebrities. Okay, let's start with some Beverly Hills news. A lot of it's kind of boring, which sort of represents the trajectory of this show lately. I don't know. I'm just really like salty and bitter about like where this show is going. The trailer for the new season looks so boring, and all the drama that they allude to in this panel is boring. Like there's really nothing that is like piquing my interest. And usually with Beverly Hills, there's a couple things in the trailer. I usually enjoy like hating on Kyle, but even that is not like bringing it for me. And like the most interesting stuff that gets talked about like at this BravoCon is basically Garcelle related, and she's not even on the show. Okay, so let's start with that. So Erica got booed for shading Garcelle. So, they have this like shade. Oh God, there's a name for it, but I can't remember right now. I watched it today. So I did watch it where they have like the shade thrower kind of housewives on. And basically what they did was they go around to them and they ask them, oh no, it wasn't at the shady one, was it? No, it was the celebrating 20 years of Housewives. It was like they had a bunch of them on there and they show clips and like moments and whatever. And yeah, so then they went around to a bunch of them and they would give them 3 former housewives from the show and then ask them like, who would be back full time, friend of, and who do you not want back on the show? So Erica had her 3 choices, and the person that she chose to not come back on the show is Garcelle. And she was like, sorry, and kind of like does like this shrug, and everyone in the audience was like, boo. So yeah, that people are talking about how she threw shade at Garcelle, but like, which she did. But I mean, that being said, am I surprised? No, because these women, and by these women I mean Dorit, Kyle, and Dorit, Kyle, and Erica, they don't want anyone who makes their time filming and their time on the show uncomfortable, or who doesn't allow them to dictate the narrative, right? And Sutton was that person as well. But without Garcelle, Sutton can be their little puppet as well, which we kind of see that that's exactly what happened, right? So Kyle gives an update on her friendship with Dorit, says we made progress, then we went backwards again. Yeah, I'm bored. Again, like this, I was kind of like, by the time these two were done fighting, it was exciting at the beginning of last season because we hadn't really seen it. And we hadn't seen, like, Dorit had been such a like sidekick to Kyle and such a suck up to her. But now that we've seen it, like, it's just like, wah wah. Like, I don't like either of them enough, nor am I invested in either of them enough in a way that I really care to even take a side. Like, I actually don't really like either of them. I know. Okay. Anyways. And then Dorit is asked about, dating and all that kind of stuff. And she says that PK, like they show this clip from the first scene where she kind of like says like PK is a disaster, basically. But then on the panel, she says, yeah, she's open to dating. So, they're officially not together. And what made her file for divorce was like pictures of him with another woman. Now, Dorit also says that she has a feud with Erica, which quote unquote came out of a left field. Okay. Again, I feel like they want us to be like, oh my God, Erica and Dorit are feuding. But like, again, I just don't like either of these women, nor do I find, and I don't even have to like it or like a person to find them interesting. Cause there's people on like Salt Lake City or Miami or other who I don't like, but I at least find interesting and entertaining. I think that's the problem is I don't find them interesting or entertaining. So them fighting is just useless to me. I don't know how else to say it, but that's where I'm coming from. Sutton says that it was kind of a blessing that Garcelle left the show because she was able to bond with the other women more. You know what, Sutton, you suck. And here's my other thing is like Sutton has become such a like backstabber betrayer. If these women eat her alive this season, which it doesn't sound like they did, but if they did, I would not be on her side. But second of all, it doesn't sound like they did because she's kissing the ring. So as long as she kisses the ring, she'll be fine. So we're going to have a boring Sutton season because usually we get in the trailer like a moment of Sutton like having a freak out. And we just really didn't get that. We got that one little scene where Jennifer Tilly's getting mad at her. But then even on the red carpet at this BravoCon, Sutton was like, oh, we're fine, Jennifer Tilly and I. So I'm like, okay, so there's literally nothing to look forward to. That's what you're telling me. That's what I'm hearing, guys. And then Kyle reveals that she's closest to Erica and Sutton. So yeah, okay, I'm about to fall asleep. All right, what else we got from these women? So Sutton was asked about her personal assistant, Avi, who we've seen pictured recently with Garcelle, by the way, and he's made it pretty clear based on Instagram comments, etc., that he is team Garcelle, which I mean, obviously. And basically, she's asked why she no longer has him. And she says, well, I just don't need a personal assistant anymore. And she says that, her kids are grown up and they're out of the house and she's on her own. So she just really doesn't need one anymore. Okay. So she's good. And that, Avi was great and he was like family, but there's just not a need for it. Which I believe 0%. I think he quit or was fired, as the rumors have it, and that he probably got sick of Sutton being a psychopath, which I think she is as a boss. Okay. Now, on that note of like talking about who would return and who wasn't, Dorit was also asked that question. And she said she wants to see Lisa Rinna back as full time and she never wants to see Camille again, which I think is ironic because, well, maybe not ironic. I don't know. But it is just funny to me because Camille is so much more entertaining than Dorit. Like Dorit had her moments of being entertaining, particularly when she first came on the show, but she's kind of lost it. Like she used to be like kind of like she used to be like a weirdo kind of and like funny, but she didn't know she was being funny. But she's kind of lost that. And now she just seems like angry and bitter and like she's just trying to fight with everyone all the time because she thinks that's what the audience wants. But there's no like humor to it. So I don't know. It's still not the same as it was like when Dorit first came on the show. It just isn't the same and it will never be the same. And I don't know, I'm just over it. So yes, whereas Camille comes on, and I think Camille in like 5 minutes on the show is always more entertaining than an entire season of a lot of these other women. But anyways, case in point, they asked Shannon Medore and Camille in another panel about their exes. And Camille is like, thanks for the Frasier money. Like, see, that's funny. That is funny. And she's like, yeah, it's been great. All this, thanks, Kelsey Grammer, for all this money. So love that. The host also asks Erica Jane about her fling with quote unquote Shrek. And Erica is like, what did you call him? And Kyle is looking at Erica like, oh my God, like how dare they he just called him Shrek. Like, what are you going to say? And you can tell Kyle is like waiting for Erica to like snap. And Erica's like, you can call him John. Like, she is not happy about this. But okay. But I guess the guy called him that because that's like his nickname. Like, he's known as John, quote unquote, John Shrek McPhee. That was his like US Army like special operations nickname or whatever. But I mean, I'm sure it's something like, only people who know him can call him that, or only his like military buddies and stuff. But here's the thing, to defend the interviewer guy, you know, when you look up Erica and new boyfriend, every single article has Shrek in the name. Like people.com, page 6, reality T, bravo.com, e-news, like every link I'm seeing has Shrek in it. They all say John Shrek McPhee, Us Weekly, MSN. So it's kind of like, well, like, he's decided to date like a public figure and one who's pretty controversial at that. So it's sort of like, okay, I don't know. I thought she was pretty rude, but whatever. Okay. Anyways, so then Erica talks about how she loses it on Dorit this upcoming season of BH. I'm sure it's like one tiny moment where she snaps and then is like, I don't agree with you, Dorit. Like, I saw it in the trailer and it's boring. And then that was it. Okay. Sutton also says, in regards to the whole Garcelle thing, she says that she feels they had a good conversation after Garcelle announced she was leaving the show, and that Garcelle never asked her to take accountability for not having her back at the reunion, because that was something that Garcelle had recently brought up in the press. And Sutton thought they were still on good terms after that call, but Garcelle never talked to her again. Here's the thing, though. She shouldn't have to like ask you to take her back. Nor should she have to ask you to take accountability for not taking her back, for not having her back. Sorry. Like a good friend would just, guess what? Have the person's back and then realize, maybe based on like audience response and just in general, maybe realize that, yeah, you didn't have their back. Like, what the hell? See, and this is the problem. Like Sutton is like so in her own, she's so self-involved and in her own world that she like doesn't even realize that. So I don't know. I think that's messed up. And yeah, I mean, it's what I expect. And it's why I'm just like blah about this cast. I didn't think that Garcelle leaving, I didn't think that I would be this not excited for this new season. Like, I knew I was disappointed, but I didn't think I would be this not excited and that it would impact it this much. But it really is. It really, really, I could be wrong. Maybe it's going to be an amazing season. I don't know. You never know. There's that new girl. She does seem kind of interesting. But I mean, she can't carry everything on her back alone. But I don't know. We'll see. Now, Lisa Vanderpump on the red carpet had some things to say about Garcelle's departure, and she basically said Garcelle doesn't need to be on the show. She says she loves Garcelle, but Garcelle was successful before the show. She's going to be successful after the show, and she really doesn't need it. And she probably really doesn't give a damn about what any of these girls think. And I don't always agree with LVP, but I agree with her here because that is just the truth. And I think that's why, some of the other women are really bothered by Garcelle too, because she really, and I think why some of them don't want Denise Richards on the show full time either, to be honest, because like these are women who have like a celebrity that kind of, transcends reality TV. And I think that bothers them. Like I've heard Erica a couple times in interviews talk about how like Garcelle and Denise asked where craft services was when they were filming Beverly Hills. And how like the other ladies were like, no, we don't do that here. Like we don't get craft services, like kind of like they were trying to be like, welcome to the real, like this is how we've been doing it for like 10 seasons or 50 or whatever. And like kind of like trying to make it like, oh, these like actress girls are such spoiled rich brats or something. And I'm kind of like, girl, if that is your only example, so they're used to being on a set with craft services. And, and Erica was like, yeah, no, that's what we do. We pack a lunch. Like, oh, okay. You're the everyman, Erica. Like, shut up. You and your private jet, one domestic and one international, you were living just as much as a delusional life as anybody else. And I'm asking for craft services is like less delusional on an entertainment set than like the BS kind of life that Erica tried to lead on the backs of victims' money. Okay. So don't even start with that. Right. Like they're always trying to make it out like these girls were bringing some inauthenticity to the show or something because of that. Like, sorry that they're A-listers and you're like a minus D list, like whatever. That's not their fault. And you need to stop being a hater. So yeah, generally, I don't sleep in pajamas. Okay. I'm more of a underwear t-shirt kind of gal, but I am now converted because I got to try Skims lounge sleep set in Cyprus, by the way. Beautiful, deep green color, amazing for the holidays. And I'm converted. I slept in them the other night and now every night, and they are the most comfortable pajamas. Like, guys, I'm not just saying this, the most comfortable pajamas I have ever tried. Like, it is like sleeping with no pajamas on, but with the warmth and comfort of just that extra layer. And I'm just obsessed. I don't think I can ever go back. The softest fabric ever, the beautiful deep green cypress color, just like a Christmas tree. I'm going to be buying these for my sister, for my sisters-in-law. Like, I will be gifting these to everyone this Christmas. And honestly, you should too, because everyone will be thanking you. And this will be a gift that your family and friends are actually going to use and be obsessed with. So shop my favorite pajamas at skims.com. After you place your order, be sure to let them know we sent you. Select podcast in the survey and be sure to select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. And if you're looking for the perfect gifts for everyone on your list, the Skims holiday shop is now open at skims.com. Okay, my Bravo fans, you know what's happening. Holiday shopping is officially here. And listen, I don't want you out there wasting tons of time trying to find the perfect gift, and then you don't get to watch all the housewives shows that you need to watch. So go to Uncommon Goods. Okay, it's going to take the stress out of gifting, and you're going to get unique, high quality finds that you will not find anywhere else. Okay. I hate getting people like the same thing over and over or boring gift cards and stuff like that. So I love Uncommon Goods. One thing that I have already ordered is they have these customized family paintings. So it's kind of like family art. And they have this beautiful one where it's like a customized painting of you and your family all sitting around like a fire pit. They also have one on like, you know, like a ski lift and stuff. It's really cute. So I'm getting the fire pit one because my in-laws have this like gorgeous fire pit at their cottage and we do that every summer and it's a nice memory and they have everything. And this is something that I know they'll actually love and they can hang it up at the cottage and it's just so beautiful and unique. So I just love that. So don't wait. Cross those names off your list before the rush. To get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/bravopapers. That's uncommongoods.com/bravopapers for 15% off. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary. So the other thing that was talked about a bit was with Dorit on the red carpet. The interviewer asked her about that whole like sit down with Mauricio, because that's something that a lot of people were talking about. Well, not, I don't know. I don't know if a lot, but people were talking about it. Like, ooh, Dorit sat down with Mauricio. Why is she allowed to do that? And Kyle's not allowed to text PK and blah, blah, blah. Well, don't worry, guys, because well, actually, don't get excited, I should say, because it's not as exciting as you think it's going to be. There's literally no drama here. Basically, Dorit confirms that she did sit down with Mauricio, but Kyle knew about it and actually suggested it. So the only reason that she was mad before was because Kyle didn't tell her about it. So yeah, no juicy drama there. These women are really selling this season, aren't they? Now, the only thing that's kind of interesting to come out of the Beverly Hills women at this event, if I'm going to be honest with you, is drama that was started by women from other franchises that are entertaining, such as Stacey from Potomac saying that Kyle was rude to her. So Kyle responds to this. I talked about this in the last news episode, kind of from the Potomac perspective, but Kyle basically is like, she's like, first of all, I need to say, and then she's like, wait, let me get this right. I think Stacey from Potomac, which Kyle saying it like that is not helping you here. She said that I was rude to her, but I didn't mean to be. I've not seen the show since she's been on it, and there's people who don't know my show or who I am, and I don't get offended by that. And then Kyle is like, well, you know, like, I didn't mean to be, and I don't watch reality TV, so I don't always like know like the newer people from the shows, etc." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm not buying this." But even if you don't know, like there's a lot of cases where someone doesn't know someone, but that doesn't necessarily mean like not everyone is like that person's rude because they don't know me. So I think you probably gave her the cold shoulder or you weren't gracious when meeting her, and that is a form of being rude. So sorry, gonna have to take Stacey's side on that one. Meanwhile, Erica made a comment about Angie K, saying that she was the worst dressed on stage. I mean, she was forced to ask the question, to be fair. This was like during the Shade Assassins thing. But she said, "I'm sorry, I can't remember her name, high body count hair, but I just don't like this color on you." And, she tried to kind of make it polite, I guess. And then later, Angie responded and was like, "Oh, I'm so glad some people know my name," like kind of like making a dig back at her. I gotta say, Kyle and Erica, you need to learn their names, even if you don't watch the show. You need to learn their names because they're both on franchises that are currently much better and higher quality than yours and are hilarious and that everyone is loving. And these two are like two of the new like newbies. I know Angie's not really that new, but you know what I mean? Like Stacey is like the moment right now. And Angie is kind of the moment too. So yeah, I would learn their names. Okay. I would learn them because they have more of a bright future as of right now than especially Erica. I mean, Kyle, I know will be around forever because we just can't get rid of her, but I think they have more ahead of them than she does, if I'm just going to be honest about it. Now, one other thing, or one other Beverly Hills kind of former housewife who did some interviews and stuff at BravoCon was Denise Richards, who's top of everyone's mind because, I mean, as you guys have been hearing on these new shows I've been doing, she's obviously going through this tumultuous divorce with that crazy abusive ex of hers. But she was asked by Jeff Lewis if she was asked to return to BH and if she would as a full-time housewife. And she said she would. She also said, quote, "We're talking about things." Okay, so implying that they might already be having conversations about that, which I really hope so. Because Denise Richards coming back, number one, I always loved her on the show. And number two, she's got an interesting story to tell. She's going through a big transition in her life. I even think maybe having cameras and stuff around her like that would be like protective for her and stuff. And like, I just think that, you know, she's really needed right now on the show. Yeah. So I would love for her to come back. So yeah. Yeah. Hopefully that happens. I just watched the Charlie Sheen documentary recently, mostly because I just wanted to see Denise's parts in it. But I mean, she's very entertaining without even trying to be. Like when Denise came on this show, I didn't know what to expect. I thought she was going to be like, I think you just see celebrities and she's so beautiful. Like you just kind of imagine this like super polished kind of and she's just not. And I don't mean that in an insult type of way. I mean it actually as a compliment. Like just like her accent and the way she talks and she curses all the time. Like I just love how she's like a little rough around the edges and like she's got a good personality. Like she's got a good personality for reality TV, I think. Now, of course, after BravoCon ends, the drama doesn't stop. And it certainly did not for the Beverly Hills women because apparently there were two burglaries involving, or sorry, with the victims being Kathy Hilton and Sutton Strack. With one of the burglars even spotted in Kathy Hilton's bedroom. So, okay, so this is from TMZ. So the homes of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills stars Kathy and Sutton were both burglarized Saturday while they were away at BravoCon, TMZ has learned. So, law enforcement sources told TMZ that around 2 p.m. on Saturday, Sutton's dog walker called 911 and said the kitchen window was broken. The cops came, took a police report. They don't know if anything was taken as of yet, so I guess maybe we'll get some updates on that. Or maybe I have some updates. Hang on. Yeah, I might. Okay, we'll get to that in a second. But the other one, which is a little bit scarier, was on Saturday. So Rick Hilton himself called 911 and said there were 3 burglars inside of the home, and the cops came, but apparently they escaped. And again, we don't know if anything's taken. But both Kathy and Sutton were at BravoCon at the time. So, people think that because of the publicity of it, the bad guys kind of assume the houses were easy targets. That does happen. Like they do track people's like celebrities and people's like online activity. But I mean, like Sutton, I can see she's single, whatever. There's no you can maybe assume no one's in the home. But like Kathy, like she's married. Like she is. I mean, like maybe they figured like Rick is so old, which he is really old. Because he's a lot old. He's older than Kathy, so maybe they just kind of assumed like, oh, the old man will sleep through it, or maybe they assumed he would go with her. I don't know. Okay, and maybe some of you were like, is this an insurance fraud? I don't think Sutton or Kathy need insurance money, as far as I can see. I think they're both fine. But if it is, I mean, this is a lesson in how to really do it. You are out of the house at a highly publicized event, lots of pictures. Insurance isn't getting you on this one, but I don't think it was an insurance. I don't think so, because I think these are 2 Bravo celebrities who actually have money. So there's that. Okay. Yeah. So, okay. We do have a little bit of an update here though so this just came out. Yesterday I just saw this, yesterday being Tuesday, because I'm recording this on Wednesday night. So there was a statement from Sutton. So she says, on the morning of Saturday, November 15th, I was notified by the LA Police Department that my residence had been the target of a home invasion earlier that day. The individuals involved entered through a kitchen window and stole all of my luxury handbags. Oh, no. Sutton's upset about that. Okay. They also took my fine jewelry. Since I have hired a 24-hour armed security team, of course. I mean, see, like, and again, if I could afford that and I was burglarized like Sutton, that's what I would be doing. Like, I would need security. Like, I would be so paranoid. And maybe after years or time goes by, you get less paranoid. But I mean, I can see that. And replace the existing property surveillance system. I'm cooperating fully with authorities as they continue their investigation. Okay. I mean, that is scary. It is a scary thing. I think people, you feel really violated, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm sure this is going to be a storyline if Sutton is around next season. So there's that. But yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, let's go to the Real Housewives of Atlanta. So they had their panel, and it did actually erupt into some drama. So Drew Sidora got into it with Kelly and Shamia. Kelly and Shamia seemed to be, like, based on what I saw in interviews on the red carpet and based on the panel and what I saw from the panel, the clips, they seem to be, thick as thieves or whatever you want to call it. And, Drew was they were kind of like targeting Drew a little bit, but basically she gets into it with them. And Kelly kind of threw like a little bit of shade at Drew about her singing. And then Drew was like, you are like a flip-flopper. Like, 1 second, I think the 2 of us are fine. And then next you're like throwing these little digs at me. And then she says she doesn't understand why Shamia is shading her music career because she's the only one who had an album who charted. And all Shamia has is this one little song. And then she says that they're trying to compare her to K. Michelle when the reality is that they both sing better than Shamia. Okay. And basically says, and Kelly, you are Shamia's little sidekick. Okay, so that was kind of all in like one breath, by the way. Like she like says all of this at once. So that's why I didn't split it up. Yeah, Team Drew. I gotta say I'm Team Drew. Okay, because Shamia really bothers me. It's funny because at the start of last season, I was kind of like really enjoying Team Shamia. I was really like on Shamia's side. I was like ready to like, hate on Portia and be like, Portia, you're a bad friend. which I still kind of was. But by the end of the season, I was like, I'm team Portia. Shamia's driving me crazy. And I have always been a Drew fan. Okay. Even before it was cool. I was a Drew fan from the jump. Love Drew. I always thought she's made to be a housewife. She's delusional. She lies a lot. She's hilarious without trying. Like she's great. She's a great housewife. Ralph is terrible. Love hating on Ralph, all that. So she's got all the elements that I want. Now, all that being said, I'm going to be on Drew's side. And I do think that these two are like poking at her. And I feel like they're always trying to use her as a storyline. So it's like, get out of here. Team Drew. And then later, Drew and Shamia were actually both singing in like the holiday, like the Bravo, like holiday special thing they did. And people were like, who's the better singer? A lot of people were saying Drew was, but again, listen, they're both good singers. Like neither of them are quote unquote bad singers. It's not like either of them are like Whitney Houston or something, but they're both like fine. Based on what I've heard, it does seem like Drew is more successful in hers and, in what she's done. And she's right. She is the only one who charted. So just saying. And like Drew had like a legit like acting entertainment career. I'm just saying, like she did. Like you can't like write that off. Like she actually did. And Portia gave us some tea as well. So she heavily implies that her and Shamia are not great. She says this season there's a lot of, passive aggressive stuff, which I have a feeling is probably coming from both sides. But, I'm not going to be shocked if a lot of it is Shamia kind of trying to use Portia as a storyline a little bit, because that's what it kind of felt like by the end of last season. But says, they say they have some new girls on the show who are really good. And she says they have actual real stories, because she said, sometimes new girls come on the show and they don't really have like a real story to tell and they're kind of trying to force it. And then she's like, oh, well, maybe there's a couple still doing that. And I was like, does she mean Kelly and Shamia? I don't know. I kind of think that's what she meant. But she says that a couple of the new ones do have that. And then Andy on the red carpet kind of accidentally confirmed that K. Michelle is in fact a housewife, which again, I think a lot of us kind of knew that already based on K. Michelle's like tweeting and commenting and like already like getting angry at castmates on social media in like a hilarious way that makes me feel like she's going to be a great housewife. Again, I know some people are already familiar with her from the other show that she was on. I'm not, but from what I've seen so far, I think she's going to fit in great. But yeah, Andy basically confirms that she's going to be on it and he's really excited. And Portia also said that the new season is amazing and it's going to give SLC a run for its money. Okay, be careful with that. I mean, I enjoyed the most recent season of Atlanta. It was a little shaky, but to me, it was a rebuilding season, okay, which many shows have when they're on their way back to greatness. So I thought it was a very strong rebuilding season. I thought Angela Oakley was kind of exactly what we needed. And it reminded me a lot of Potomac's rebuilding season, which was last season, which is where Stacey was a fantastic newbie who kind of laid the groundwork, and it was a good season. And then we got to the reunion and the reunion was amazing. And then now we are at the next season and this season is unbelievable. Mid-season trailer looked insane and it's only going to get better now with the whole Wendy, Karen getting out of jail, all that. So I think Atlanta's on that same trajectory and I'm very excited about it. Okay, that's all I got to say. Don't oversell it, Portia, but I'm with you, is basically what I think. Meanwhile, former Real Housewives of Atlanta housewife, Kim Zolciak, was there, supporting Ariana. And she says that she's so proud of Ariana Bierman and that she is dating someone new. I mean, we've heard about this. I have heard about this online that, there's like rumors floating around that she's dating some billionaire businessman. How did she do this? Like, my God, does no one look at her past track record and just think maybe I shouldn't. Like, maybe this woman's gonna come in and spend every dollar. Like, go back and watch Big Papa, and maybe this guy has so much money, maybe he doesn't care. I don't know. Whatever. Okay, so she says that she's dating a businessman. He's not in the like entertainment media world at all, so he's really not familiar with it, and that it's very calm and peaceful. So I think that's her way of saying it was not with Croy. She says she has her own place now. She's got her own home. She's in a good place. She's trying to settle and settle everything with her ex. And basically, she says, I'm trying to do things the way the courts want, unlike the other side. Okay, that sounds nice. And as much as like, I know she's trying to sort of like throw shade at the other side, the Croy side, you're not innocent. Like, if there's one thing I know, like, you're telling your side, that's fine. And I'm sure you have your side and he has his side, and you both have wrongs and rights and all that kind of stuff. But Kim, don't try to sell it like you're like the innocent victim. Okay. Because we all know you have some fault in whatever went down. Okay. And you spending your daughter's money, I mean, that's like one big red flag right there. Let's just be honest. Okay. And then, BravoCon ended. And much like Beverly Hills, the drama continued for the Atlanta women because we got this exclusive from TMZ about Portia Williams flying, no pun intended, well, no pun was intended, definitely, on the FBI's radar. And then there was this video of Portia coming off the flight and these like, security cops or whatever. It says all smiles after flight incident. And no one really knew what the incident was or like what had happened or whatever. But basically, the gist of it was that Portia was going to be on the FBI's radar after allegedly being involved in an incident on a Delta flight. She was seen accompanied by a police officer shortly after landing in Atlanta. And then her lawyer, Joe Hibachi, explained that Williams exited the aircraft after she was verbally assaulted by an irate and unhinged passenger without provocations. The passenger proceeded to make false allegations that were in direct conflict with the observations made from several passengers. Okay. So there was a lot of witnesses, and basically the witnesses say that, what the passenger said, the passenger who was harassing Portia, what they said was basically BS and completely contradicts what they all witnessed, and that Portia did not, instigate anything or anything like that. She was on the flight and this person was, verbally assaulting her and they were irate, etc. So yeah, so it seems like, but a lot of people are pointing out that, this kind of maybe puts a little bit of a hole in like Whitney and Heather's whole thing about Meredith, because not to make this about Salt Lake City, but like people are saying that it's kind of like, yeah, when someone is irate and like losing their shit on a flight, like not the government, but authorities, they do not take that lightly. Like the fact that someone was harassing or being irate with Portia, and then that leads to, TMZ and, Portia being on the FBI's radar and her lawyer and all this other stuff. It's like, okay, so how do you explain like allegedly Meredith like going nuts for however many hours, so it's just, and again, I think that Meredith did talk shit about Brittany and probably jostled her seat when she got up to go to the bathroom and was annoying. But like what they're saying, I do think is exaggerated. I do believe Mary Cosby, but if you go back to the scene, like Mary doesn't say that Meredith spilled wine on her and pulled her. Like Mary's not saying any of that. And Mary is clearly coming from a place of concern about, in my opinion, alcoholism or addiction of some kind. And I think she's sensitive to it because of what her son's going through, so it's just different. That's what I think. Okay, so on that note, we might as well talk about Salt Lake City, right? Um, so Bronwyn was making sure at BravoCon to stand up for the community and to say that she thinks that, you know, all Bravo Lebs should be standing up for the community. And if the Bravo Leb that you love is not, you should send them a message and get mad at them instead of sending her messages about things that she's doing on the show that you don't like, which I thought was funny. But then she got some criticism later for posing with a picture with Gretchen. So she posed for a picture with Gretchen, you know, like, I don't know, it was like at some place where people were taking pictures. And then somebody commented and was like, Bronwyn, why did you take a picture with anti-LGBTQ Gretchen? And then Bronwyn says in her word salady way, this woman always has some long ass word salad explanation for everything. I'm not going to lie. Like, I like Bronwyn for the most part, but she drives me crazy with this. Just answer the question. You know, we should give her like a word limit. She needs like a Twitter word limit so she needs to learn to be more concise. That's what she needs. So she's like, hi. Yesterday, I walked into a fan experience room and they were already there. I asked my team to ensure I was moved. This picture was taken while a new photo stand for me and fans was set up. Honestly, they can choose to do whatever they want, but I vehemently disagree with some of their beliefs, and I made that known and moved so I could take photos with BravoCon attendees solo right after. Okay, she's using the pronouns they, I think on purpose, to shade Gretchen, which I love. One thing that some people are not believing this because one thing that's a little weird is that Gretchen has her arm around, Bronwyn has her arm around Gretchen's waist. Like her arm is like behind, like, and like you can see her hand like right on Gretchen's waist. So that's a little weird, but I don't know. You know, maybe it's just one of those situations where you're put into the situation to take these pictures. You're right there. You're like, this is what I'm here to do. I'm being professional. Like, I can give Bronwyn the benefit of the doubt with this. I don't think she was like, I love Gretchen. Like, I just don't see that. And yeah, I mean, she responded after and explained it. So that's it, I guess. Meredith, meanwhile, I got to go back to the plane thing. Sorry, I forgot that I had this because it just happened like right before I started recording this. Meredith reposted the quotes about the whole Portia thing. She posted basically some pictures from page six, with quotes from Portia's lawyer, and Meredith tweeted above them, interesting. And then someone responded and said, Portia's going to get you next, queen. Stay safe. And then Meredith, which is not at all the point of Meredith's post. Okay. Whoever said that was dumb. And then Meredith responds and says, Portia is the victim here. She did nothing wrong. Ooh, yes. Love it. It's like the universe was like, let me show you all that bad weather is up to their bullshit again. And I love that. I just really love that. Okay. Meanwhile, Lisa Barlow was asked at the Watch What Happens Live, which housewife is most likely to leak stories? And she's like, definitely not me, guys. Who do you guys think? Like, to the audience, and everyone's like, yeah. And it backfired big time, but it was funny. And I will, to give Lisa some credit, she did like laugh it off. And then Heather is asked who's most likely to tell a lie, and everyone starts chanting, Lisa, Lisa. So not an easy day for Miss Barlow, but, you know, she seems to be fine because that's very, I mean, maybe she cried. I don't know. She does cry easily, but she's also in her own world. So who knows with her. On the red carpet, Meredith was asked about the flight thing, and she says that she has proof, receipts, and videos to back up her side of the plane situation, which, okay, I would love to see those. Like, send them over right now, Meredith, okay? Like, I'm like lean more towards Meredith's side with this. Do I think she was acting like an asshole? Yes. Do I think she was and again, I have like a whole like long recap of this on the patreon.com/Bravo and Botox. I think in my most recent episode, I talked about the plane episode. I did like a full hour just talking about it. And I have a lot of thoughts about what the truth is. And, to shorten it, I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. But, if she has evidence, she needs to show it. She says several women in the group keep lying about her. And Lisa on the red carpet says, that Bronwyn dug into her past, went 15 years back, and all she could find is some civil suits, and says, why would you throw stones at my glass house when your glass house has really dirty windows? Okay, I mean, like, the really dirty window thing doesn't really. Okay, maybe I get what she's saying with the metaphor. Like, I mean, you didn't need to add to the metaphor for it to still make sense, but we'll go with it. Okay, Lisa. Yeah, so nothing really that we didn't really know, I guess, from that clip, but I got to give you guys all the news. Then Angie was asked who she would bring back over between basically Jen Shah and Monica. So again, it's that thing where they spin the wheel and they give them three, like who could be a friend, who would be full time. And she actually chooses Jen Shah over Monica. Listen, I love Angie K. I'm a big Angie K fan. I'm an Angie K supporter, all that kind of stuff. But this I don't like. I think this is kind of a check against Angie in this case. And she kind of tries to explain it, and it doesn't really go well. Like, you can tell that as soon as she says it, like, the audience is like, oh, and then she tries to kind of explain it away, and she actually kind of makes it worse, because then she says, well, Jen Shah, like, has more to give. Like, she's like charming and funny, and she's like, she could charm anyone, and she could make everyone like her, even like, she's like anyone from like, I can't remember what she says, from like someone to like a castmate to like an 80-year-old man. And then they go over to Andy and he's like, oh, like, hello, she scammed the elderly. And then Angie's like, no, I don't mean like that. I just mean like she can charm anyone. So she has more to give on camera. Like, Angie tries to walk it back, but it's just not happening. And then she's like, and she's funny and da da da. I did not find her to be funny. I thought Jen Shah brought such a negative energy and vibe to the show. I thought it was so dark when she was around. Like, I am not, like, I'm just not with you at all here, Angie. I think this is such, like, sometimes I'm just like, just because you women didn't like Monica for whatever, this stupid blog shit, like, I don't know. I just think it's so stupid, and it's making me worry. It's making me worry that Angie has drank the Heather Gay Kool-Aid, because this sounds like exactly what Heather would say if Heather was asked this question. And it's almost like Heather is like becoming this ringleader of this new little clique. And it's almost like they're being divided into teams on Salt Lake City, which I hate, because Salt Lake City is great because it doesn't have teams. And that's not what we need. And I for sure blame Heather, because I blame Heather for everything. Okay. So, because why not? It's fun to blame Heather. She's kind of like Kyle Richards. Like, she's fun to blame for this stuff. Okay. Meanwhile, of course, things came up about Mary and her church, because, why wouldn't it? Because this whole TLC documentary thing was coming out. And Mary says basically she thinks it's sad, it's shameful. Her church is not a cult. And then when asked about it on the red carpet, Angie and Bronwyn defend Mary. And Mary's like, if it's a cult, there would be more people. Like, she's like, my church is very small. Like, it's not, And then Angie's like, I'm in her cult. If she's in one, I'm in it. And Bronwyn says, I will drink the Mary juice for sure. Okay. So, the cast is sticking by her. I mean, I have to say, it's not a bad point. I'm not saying that her church hasn't done some shady shit. I'm not saying that. But what I will say is that, well, I guess you can have a small cult, though. No, you can definitely have a small cult. Sorry. On second thought, you can have a small cult. Again, I don't know if Mary's church is a cult or not. I'm just kind of, I'm at the point of like, it's the, like, a lot of people say the Mormon church is a cult and think that, including myself, kind of, to be honest. So I don't know. I'm not like here to like cross-examine and prosecute it at this point. I feel like it's old tea that's been talked about already. And yeah, like unless there's some like damning actual evidence or something like that, I don't know where we're gonna go with this. So Bronwyn, so I don't know. I guess we'll see when the documentary comes out. I don't know. So Bronwyn also sticks up for Angie in the same interview after the fans criticized her for bringing up the farting kissing rumor about Todd. I see, this is why I love Bravo, because we have sentences like farting kissing rumor. And basically says, we both know Lisa was telling everyone about the rumor, hoping it would come out on camera. So that's what Bronwyn says. And she explains that Angie apologized to her and shared why she brought it up publicly. Basically, Angie wanted to call Lisa out in front of the group to teach her that you can't lie about your friends. And Angie calls Bronwyn a good sport. Yeah, I mean, I get Bronwyn's explanation here, but I have to say it's a little bit of a stretch for me because it's like, okay, so Lisa was going around hoping somebody would bring it up. Okay, but nobody brought it up. So wait until Lisa brings it up. Or you bring it up or so, I don't know. It's still a little bit of a stretch. I mean, I understand what she's saying, but I don't think you can deny the fact that like we wouldn't have heard about it if Angie didn't say it. And this is coming from like me, and I'm an Angie fan. Angie also let us know that Lisa Barlow is apparently going around BravoCon to every Bravo celebrity to tell them that Angie K is fake. It's like, do I believe this? Yes, I do. 100% I believe this because I could just see Lisa. She's been around longer and, she feels she has more, power and more status. So she could probably put a bug in people's ear and get them not liking Angie and make things hard for her. I could see that. I could totally see that. All right, so we're going to talk about Orange County next. Obviously, with everything going on with that show, like even just in the last part of the reunion and all that kind of stuff, there's a lot of drama, of course. And at BravoCon, it was no different. So the biggest news is that Vicky got her orange back for season 20. Okay. So Andy surprised her on stage during the Bravo Awards. Vicky was very emotional and the whole cast was congratulating her. I mean, she had to have known about it though, right? Like you can't, like when somebody comes on the show, there's like contract negotiations and like all that kind of stuff. But I'm not going to lie, when I first saw it, I guess I'm kind of gullible. So when I first saw it, I was like, oh my God, he actually surprised her. Like I fully like kind of bought into it. But, after I thought about it for a minute, I was like, okay, I guess that's not really possible. I don't really know how I feel about this. Like in one way, I understand why they're doing it because it's season 20. It's like a really kind of important number, I guess, not just for Orange County, but for the entire, for the entire Housewives franchise, right? Like this is the first show to make it to like 2 decades of seasons or whatever, right? And this is the show that started it all. So I understand that this is kind of like a nostalgic move almost. Like if I was Vicky, I would be a little insecure about this. I know she's happy about it, but I would also be insecure in the sense of like, I'm being brought back, but it's really just because of the 20th anniversary. Like, I don't really know what Vicky has going on, or if maybe there's something I don't know. Maybe she has a lot of drama in her life. Like, I really don't know what's going on with her. But, I do think that this is, a solely kind of anniversary type move. So that would make me, if I was her, just be like, okay, am I getting axed like after this season? Which, I mean, it is very possible. Like there's a lot riding on this season for her. That being said, I don't know how I feel about it just because like I don't really care that much. Like I don't mind it, and I know like a lot of people are like, oh, Vicky is like just like Gretchen. She's like MAGA and all this stuff. I kind of just assume that all the Orange County housewives are. I'm not going to lie. And I know like, we're all like ranting and raving about Gretchen's homophobia, but like, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, she's online like promoting these posts and supporting them like in this open way. So I guess it's like it's, you know, it's harder. It makes it like harder to what's it called? Compartmentalize it, you know, and because it's kind of like, because I do a lot of compartmentalizing with housewives, because I know a lot of housewives, not just OC, other franchises too. I know a lot of them are like, you know, more like conservative or Republican or whatever, you know, and that their values don't align with mine. Like I know that, but I try to kind of like separate politics as much as I can. But again, if you have a housewife who is on social media who's always talking about politics, it makes it very difficult. Like example, Kelly Dodd. So, you know, like I cannot separate that anymore, which is like why I just would never want her back on the show. And I think after seeing like Gretchen's likes on all these posts, it's kind of like, ugh, you know, it's like I can't, especially with like, you know, the gay community, the LGBTQ plus community, because it's very like that is a huge portion of the fandom. Now, again, you can make the argument that if Vicky supports, you know, like certain administrations, like the Trump administration, then she is supporting anti-LGBTQ plus, which that makes sense. I totally agree with that. But then on the other side, people would be like, well, but she says she's a supporter of the gay community and she's whatever, does her podcast with a gay podcaster and all this stuff. But again, it's one of those things like there is some debate around, but like Vicky, she's no better really than Gretchen. Like, let's just call a spade a spade. And like, she was one who recently was like, oh, Heather doesn't really fit in with OC because she's so liberal or whatever. Like, it's not like Vicky's like ever tried to hide her beliefs. Like, and I do think that's somewhat what's frustrating with this, with Gretchen, with this whole thing is I'm kind of like, why don't you just own it? Like, clearly you believe that and you feel that way. So why don't you just stand by your beliefs? Like, you're kind of a loser on both sides. Like, you're a loser for having these beliefs and then you don't even stick with like your own side. Like, you don't even stand in any sort of conviction for your own, you know, bullshit propaganda beliefs that are like disgusting. I don't know. Not that I would like respect that, quote unquote, because those beliefs are disgusting. But all I'm saying is that, like, who are you? And this has always been my issue with Gretchen, is she's so inauthentic and fake. It's like, this is why she's never been a good housewife in my eyes as well. She's always been a shitty housewife as well. But anyways, okay. I don't know. Sorry, I went off on a tangent there. So Vicky has her orange bag to get back on track. Um, I don't necessarily think like it's going to make for like the best season. The one positive thing about it, okay, if we're going to pull a positive from Vicky getting her orange back, is that I think it gives Katie more support, because it does seem like her, Tamara, and Vicky are like on good terms, and we need more people that are going to be kind of like team Katie. And I do want Katie to have another season, and I want her to have a chance. And, you know, she's going to need some allies. Let's just like, just from a strategic standpoint, I'm not saying she can trust these people as like real friends, but just from a strategic standpoint. So on the red carpet at BravoCon, Chanel Ion, who, by the way, her interviews were hilarious. I loved watching them all. But she interviews Tamra, and she says to Tamra that Jen and Gretchen were there on the red carpet earlier and said that, you know, they love that they can fight with Tamra, but then, you know, or each other on TV, and then things can be okay later. And Tamra's like rolling her eyes big time. And is like, well, that's not really true. And then Chanel says, well, she said that you guys can move forward. And Tamara's like, there's no moving forward, especially with someone who doesn't support the community. And then Chanel is like, oh no, she doesn't support the community. And then Chanel says, well, she was saying that you guys were going to reconcile. And Tamara was like, oh yeah. She's like, yeah, now Gretchen's saying that to try and save her job. So yeah. So, you know, again, it's Tamara, but she's not wrong. Like, I think if the entire audience had been, if it had been like, and there is people who are like Team Gretchen, and there's a lot of people who are not Team Gretchen but still hate Tamra. Like, that is, you know, it's not like the most like black and white kind of situation with these two. But what I will say is that I think if Gretchen had like unwavering support from the Bravo audience, I think she would not be saying any of this. And it's because she knows, like, she 100% knows that, you know, she kind of needs to like show that she's open to reconciliation. Now, Tamra was mostly kind of like talking about Gretchen here. Like she seemed kind of open to the Jen idea, but yeah, it doesn't say, like, you can tell she's like, I'm not fucking with Gretchen anymore. Then Katie's also on the red carpet, and she's told that sorry, that Jen and Gretchen were saying she's a great girl and they were gushing over her. And Katie is like, and this is to virtual reality from page 6. So she's talking to these two guys and she's like, oh, they're like, shoot, they were gushing over you. And Katie's like, are pigs flying? And then they're like, is there ever a chance for reconciliation? And Katie's like, yeah, there's a chance with Jen. She's like, there's always a chance with Jen. And she's like, but not Gretchen because I'm not friends with homophobes. And the interviewer guys are like, oh my God. So yeah, so Katie is not holding back, which I like that. And I like that she said that because like, get her off the show. We don't need her on the show. She can't, her comeback was a flop anyways, even without the tweets and stuff. Her comeback was still, it was just a flop. Like she's too much of a wuss to really go up against Tamra. Like she kind of did at the start and it was okay. But then by the end of the season, she always cowers. And then every time she gets caught with something, she just blames it on Slade. Like it's just the same boring mess. And you can just see Slade behind closed doors pulling all the strings and it's annoying. Okay, so it was a flop. Let's call a spade, get Gretchen off. And again, and I don't want to rehash drama from 15 years ago. That's the other thing. I don't think any of us do. So Gretchen, when asked about all this kind of stuff and, you know, the tweets and whatnot, she says that she was an advocate for the LGBTQ plus community, quote, way back when nobody really was, when it wasn't the cool thing to do. Again, Gretchen, having a drag queen at your party one time does not an advocate or ally make. I'm sorry, it doesn't. A true advocate and ally would not vote for Trump, would not be getting all excited when they get their MAGA hat in the mail and posting videos about it and liking all these posts and following all. That would be a true ally, would not be doing those things. So you having a drag queen at your party and using them basically like a clown, okay, like they're like your puppet for entertainment, does not make you an ally. It makes you an asshole. Okay. So then there was this interview of Jen and Gretchen on the red carpet talking about Tamra, and then Tamra commented on it. So it was posted on Instagram and she commented and said, both you idiots attacked me and made up rumors about me all season at my sorry, the idiots thing it took me a second to process that and it's kind of funny. Okay. And attacked me all season at my lowest point. Then stand here lying and playing victim, saying how you tried so hard with me. STFW. No, you didn't. Don't come on a reality show if you have skeletons, because they will come out. That's Tamara's way of saying I will bring them out, by the way. They will come out equals I will bring them out. Which again, you know, there's some skeletons that Tamara doesn't need to bring out, which is why she gets so much hate. There's some that I like when she brings out. So it's kind of like, that's the thing. It's like a double-edged sword or whatever the metaphor is when it comes to Tamara. It's like when she does it in the way that's like needed and good for housewives, it can be really good. When she does it in a way that's like not needed and just mean, you know, it goes down a bad path. But it's like you can't get like the good parts without the bad, which is I think why Tamara is so divisive. Okay, what else did we get from the OC ladies? So many people may have seen that Shannon Bedore was on like a panel with Camille Grammer. And I mentioned in the Beverly Hills thing that Camille was like, thank you, Kelsey, for the Frasier money. And basically they'd asked Shannon and Camille if they had like a message for their ex-husbands. And Shannon said, she basically says that, David, every time you're on the phone with our daughters and you hear my voice in the background, you run and hang up. And then she said, and also you act like you're so happy in this marriage and whatever, but you're filing for divorce every 5 minutes. So like, how happy could you really be? So she kind of like throws some shade and everyone's like, and you know, she's not wrong. And then what's his name? Leslie Bedore, Shannon's, I don't know, ex's wife, new wife, the one that he left her for, essentially. So then she goes ahead and responds to this on social media. Okay, she posts a picture of her wrist with 3 of those like, those like Cartier like bangle bracelets, whatever they're called. And she says, "You asked how happy he was. 10, 15, 25 anniversary gift. Do the math, Shani. Hashtag Leslie Bedore." Who hashtags their own name? I find that very strange. And I'm sorry, but this is not the read or the serve or whatever that you think this is, Leslie. Oh, he bought you 3 bracelets. Congrats. That makes up for, domestic violence, cheating, and the 2 of you filing divorce on each other every 15 minutes for the last 5 years. Yeah, that makes it all better. Like, this girl is a nut, I think. I think she's a little something. Okay. All right. Now, on the red carpet as well, Emily and Gina were asked about Katie, of course. Okay. And Emily says that they've chosen not to reveal certain things Katie has said because they don't want to put that out there. She also says she found Katie's husband, Matt, to be, quote, very disrespectful to women. Okay. So on the part 2 of the reunion, when Matt came out, I like how she's trying to make this into a feminist thing. Like, we see what you're doing, Emily, because she doesn't say, oh, at first she's like, I found him to be like disrespectful to us. And then she's like, to women. And then she adds that in. Like, we see what you're doing. You're trying to like rally the troops and get everyone to be like, Matt's a misogynist and he yells at women and he's sexist and blah, blah. No, he was defending his wife, who is the only woman of color on the cast who's been ganged up all season. Okay. He's trying to defend her. He was not yelling. He did not yell at anyone. Did he stand up for himself and stand up for her after being called a liar by all of you? Yes. And he came because he thought he was going to be speaking with Slade and Ryan, who were too scared to show up. So he had to talk to you guys. And yeah, he threw us a couple snarky comments, etc. in, but I'm sorry, aren't you married to Shane? Like, the amount of times that he has been rude and snarky to the women on this show, like, just get out of here. Okay. I just can't. I can't with this BS. And in terms of like, not revealing things Katie has said, etc., it's like, I'm sure there's things you guys have said that she hasn't revealed either. Like, she could have told us about the whole Asian designer thing, which, by the way, we never would have seen if it wasn't for Kiki bringing it up on the show. But yeah, so she obviously leaves things as well. So everybody leaves things out and everybody brings things on. That's being a housewife. Okay. 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 So let's go to Southern Hospitality. And then, oh my God, I might have to end this and just do a third part because there's still so much. I still have Southern Charm. We still have Next Gen NYC. We still have like a bunch of just general Bravo news. We still have Miami, and there's a lot of stuff from that. There's a bunch of stuff from New York too. So, okay, yeah, I might have to do that. All right. But let's talk about Southern Hospitality before we wrap up this episode. So apparently Michaels from Southern Hospitality had a big season. He said on the panel that it was not an easy season for him. But he said that, something happened this season that I guess he never thought was possible, which is that he has reunited with his mother. So those of you, I'm assuming if you're listening, you're a Southern Hospitality person. If you're not, basically, if you're not and you're just listening just because you like gossip, which I respect, basically Michaels is gay and his mom is not accepting of that. She's very, very not accepting of that, to the point like they haven't been speaking for a really long time, basically since he came out. And, she sees it as like, not being like a true man and masculine, anyways, all that kind of stuff. And his stepdad, on the other hand, has been pretty, like, a lot more supportive of it. So yeah, and this is like a really hard thing for him, and you see him on the show, he breaks down and stuff. So I'm assuming that gets brought up this season, and I hope that they have been reunited. I mean, maybe that's something that the show did for them, and that can happen sometimes. Sometimes somebody goes on a show and they talk about the issues that they have, with their family or whoever. And sometimes when it becomes a public thing and you see public response and stuff, like I just wonder, like maybe it makes people kind of reevaluate. I don't know. Or maybe she just realized that, like, I don't know what's going on, but I guess we're going to see. So he got really emotional about that. And yeah, so I'm very happy for him. Very happy because at the end of the day, that's his mom. Even if she sounds like she's kind of an asshole, it's still his mom. And obviously that means the world to him. The other thing that was noticeable to many was that Grace Lilly was not in attendance on the Southern Hospitality panel. This is something that, like, I feel like people have been talking about since last season. Like there's kind of like been a little bit of like, what's going on with her? Because I think some people felt like she was acting strange and she seemed, I saw like rumors, people talking online again. We don't know, but people saying maybe she's like struggling with addiction or something like that. Like people were kind of surmising that she might be like high in certain or that she just doesn't seem well, whether it's mental health or something like that. So they said basically she's taking time for herself. So it kind of sounded like something's going on and that, she couldn't be here, but they didn't give any details, which makes sense, right? Another thing that they talked about was kind of, their show sort of taking off and gaining more success in the last while. And, how supportive are other people from other shows, specifically Southern Charm, because because they're both in Charleston, obviously. Bradley says that although Austin is very kind to their faces, he doesn't really think that Austin is supportive of them or happy for their success. Okay. It's funny because then I saw Austin on, I don't know, like one of those panels later when I was watching the panels, and he was saying that like Bradley gave him a heads up about it and was like, oh, like they pushed me, so I had to like say something, like kind of, and I was like, they didn't really push you. Like I watched it, Bradley, like you're messy and you were like ready to give that information. Now, the other thing that kind of came out at this BravoCon was like, we sort of found out that like the Southern Charm cast was maybe like just not happy for the Southern Hospitality cast, specifically for Leva getting her own show, which, listen, I'm not going to lie, I can kind of understand that because Leva was on Southern Charm for a while, I guess. I mean, like not that long, but she was on it for a while. She's not always, sorry, she's never been the most exciting reality TV person to watch. Like I find her so monotone and so boring. And she's just not a good personality for reality TV. Like she puts me to sleep. Okay. So I can understand the cast being like, what the hell? Like this girl is what does she bring? She brings like nothing and she's getting a spinoff. Like what the heck? And here's the thing, like the spinoff is like having your own spinoff, being in the Lisa Vanderpump position is almost the best position to be in. It's like you're on the reality show. You're sort of like this boss figure with like a guaranteed job and role, but you don't have to be involved in the mess. It's like kind of the dream scenario. And I bet you that these guys were like, she doesn't deserve this. And to be honest, listen, I love Southern Hospitality. I'm glad it's on. Do I wish they had a more exciting, charismatic boss than Leva? Yes, I do. Okay. Do I enjoy watching Leva on Southern Hospitality? No. The show is good not because of her. It's good in spite of her. So there you go. Okay. So I can understand why they're jealous. That being said, they need to, it's not the cast's fault. It's not Bradley's fault. It's not TJ's fault. It's not Maddie's fault. It's, that's like, aim your anger in the right direction or just leave them alone. Okay. They're doing a good job. And quite frankly, their last couple seasons have been better than yours. So maybe get it together. So yeah, and Leva does kind of like, there was that panel that had like Summer House, Southern Charm, all those shows together. Leva did kind of like confront Austin about that and was like, yeah, you guys weren't like happy, like that dinner, that finale of Southern Charm where like the seats get changed and Leva's moved and her and Craig end up fighting. It did kind of come out that it was actually about that. And then Austin's like, well, yeah, a lot of us had things to say. And she's like, and I was like, okay, so you were, yeah, you guys were pissed. Let's just say it. Okay, so that's it for Southern Hospitality, but join me for part 3. There's going to be a part 3 coming up where I cover the rest of the shows that I haven't talked about yet. And make sure, if you're looking for a particular show or, a certain time, just go to the episode notes and description for the timestamps. And if you're looking for my recaps of the weekly episodes, including Southern Charm that premiered this week, head to patreon.com/Bravo and Botox. You'll also get the news episodes ad-free there, by the way. Okay, everyone, you are now in the know for everything Bravo. See you next time. Thanks for listening, everyone. Your support really means everything to me, and this show wouldn't be possible without you, the listeners. So please, if you enjoy the podcast, leave a 5-star rating and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. For more, you can join my Patreon, patreon.com/Bravo and Botox. And for $5 a month, you'll get 4 extra podcast episodes a month. You'll also get early releases of Bravo Paper episodes and more. Please also subscribe to my YouTube channel at The Bravo Papers and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, at Bravo and Botox and at The Bravo Papers. If you'd like to buy me a coffee, you can at buymeacoffee.com/Bravo and Botox. Send your love through some much needed caffeine. And any guest that was on today's episode will be in the show notes, all their social media and contact information. So thank you so much, everyone. Keep overanalyzing Bravo.